Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The topic that I'm going to be producing an argument for is the subject that has a lot of different opinions to it. This subject is on issuing a statewide curfew for young adults or not. Curfews are given or were given to us at one point of our life, or some of us never had to experience a set curfew from our parents at all. Today, we are going to look as to why people would be for a statewide curfew and why people would be against it. According to a question that was posed by the Green Garage blog, should we have a statewide curfew for teenagers or is it not necessary at all? Close quote. When I was living at home as a teenager, my parents would issue curfews for me. However, as my siblings and I got older and more responsible, my parents would push the time back for the curfew. For example, when I turned 16 years old, my curfew was at midnight, but by the time I was a senior in high school, my curfew was at 1 or 2 in the morning. There are multiple feelings as to whether or not there should be a statewide curfew. I personally feel that we shouldn't have one because I feel like parents should be able to set curfews based on how responsible their kid is or not. There are, however, pros and cons on this matter. Let's take a look at them. Giving a statewide curfew in the United States of America has its pros to it. One of those pros would be that it would give peace of mind for the parents of teenagers. A lot of parents in the country do not want their teenage son or daughter out late at night because they feel that it would keep them out of criminal violence, thus keeping them out of juvenile jail. This pro to the curfew would provide a sense of mental security for the parents. Another pro to this subject would be that the teenagers have structured lives. Parents feel that teens have a hard time making smart decisions in life. Let's now focus on some of the cons of having a statewide curfew for young adults. One of the first cons we should explore is that it would cause a thing that is called autocratic parenting. Autocratic means having an absolute power over someone so their agency to choose for themselves is very limited. When being an autocratic leader is implemented into parenting, it can cause some unnecessary tension in the family. According to a woman but the last name is Stacy, it reads, when parents impose curfew mainly because it is the law, the family loses sight over the importance of getting kids involved in the way that the household is run. Despite being minors, teenagers have their own beliefs, opinions, and goals that parents overlook or undermine when the curfew law is blindly enforced. Close quote. It is also stated in a statistical study that the statistics from the United States Department of Justice, juvenile crimes are higher after school on weekdays and around 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends. This means curfew may actually provide little benefit to deter juvenile delinquency. As we can see, there is evidence coming left and right that supports that a curfew would not really help the crime rate decrease by any means at all. The con that ties in with the stats is that the curfew would create a false sense of security for the parents and local authorities. Yes, a curfew can help raise children to be better, but it is not a thing that will put a halt to criminal activity and violence permanently. Another con we can discuss, and I feel that this one is very valid, is that a curfew will hinder maturity instead of increasing it. It can prevent teenage criminals from learning how to truly negotiate with the parents and local authorities, thus limiting their development for good people skills. Those skills they can develop will certainly help them for the real world when they are out on their own and not relying on their parents anymore. According to a quote by the Tribune Digital from Orlando, it reads, curfew-raised kids may get culture shock and become less adaptable when released from the curfew law, close quote. The Tribune Digital also says, some critics argue that curfew is unconstitutional in that it gives the government right to interfere with the family's privacy and chosen methodologies for parenting. For the most part, curfew restricts everyone under 18 whether or not they are rebellious or delinquent. This means that even the good kids are punished for offenses they didn't commit, close quote. It is not fair to punish people for something that they didn't do. Freedom isn't like a football game where if one person or a team is penalized, then the whole team gets punished. You honestly can't expect to penalize the entire town of Dallas, Texas if one person commits a crime. Let's face it, that would just cause even more rebellion. A lot of parents and local authorities also discriminate against people who are out late at night as violators of the law or view them as delinquents. Discrimination is never okay for any reason, especially discriminating people based on an assumption that is most likely false. I personally feel that it would be a bad idea to have a statewide curfew because I agree with all the cons to this. As a 22-year-old adult, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I wouldn't appreciate a statewide curfew because I would not want to have my rights taken away for crimes I haven't and never will commit. It is not right to present these punishments on teenagers and young adults who are in the same boat as I am. I also know that I want my kids to have the same freedom, my future kids to have the same freedom that I am blessed with now. Because if they ever get themselves into some serious trouble while they are out at night, then my future wife and I will decide what the best curfew is for that child, not the law or anyone else. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why I personally believe that we should not have statewide curfews. It limits the agencies of man and women, and I personally believe that to be true. Thank you for your time.